And then with regards to comparing ourselves with other countries, the SACMEC in the African region, and our grade 6 learners did a little bit better, and in the teams, but we've given ourselves some targets, and in the teams as well. And it's when the teams results come out, everybody has got an opinion as to where we're supposed to be, and the situation is always very bleak. But we've made some small gains that in the 2015 teams, South Africa, because we started with a low base, we are, rising, but and there was some great gains, 87 points in mathematics and 90 in science. And Gauteng achieved the highest scores, and Eastern Cape the lowest. We started with a low base. And when you look at grade 5, it was the first time that grade 5 was writing. The results are promising, I think, but we have a lot of work to do. And there's a lot of work, like I was telling you, the provinces are operating at different levels. It's like we have 9 countries in one country because of the history where we come from. So we must never ever forget where we come from so that we can be able to focus on what needs to be done for us to get where we want to be. And the grade 9 teams, there was slight improvement, like I'm saying, but there's still a lot of work that still needs to be done, with Gauteng at the top and Eastern Cape there at the... And then when we looked at this and looking at other countries, your top countries, Singapore, Korea, and whatever, South Africa's down there, but it's not so gloomy, like the way people always like to give us a picture that it's all doom and gloom. There is work that is being done, a lot of work, and we have to acknowledge the good work that is being done and build on from there. Okay, let's move on first. And looking at the SACMEC, what was interesting for me, reading is always a big thing because children who can't read can't study mathematics or science or whatever. So we're not where we're supposed to be. I mean, Swaziland, look at Swaziland. Okay? And with our maths course as well, there's Swaziland on top of us, and we've got the biggest amount of budget to spend. But we've made great gains that South Africa, over the SACMEC result. So there is something happening that is good. But looking at the teachers, then we become worried. Our teachers are not the good quality that we want, the competency that we're trying to talk about. We need to, get them to that level. Zimbabwe teachers are still on top, Swaziland teachers are still on top. It's not waste time. And then when you look at the trend of how there is some gains, so I won't waste time on that. And then you look at the different countries, the different provinces, then we can see, beginning to call them countries. And we can begin to see that each province is at a different level, and we need to come up with different strategies for each province. It's not, we can't attend to this the same way. Each province needs its own. And then in the SACMEC booklet that we were reading, it was interesting to get that when you look at the rural learners and the urban learners, there's still that disparity because of our past. We need to do something about it, have some more differentiated kind of interventions for our rural schools and make sure that we get where we're supposed to. So looking at what the ministerial task team talked about, just in summary, there's that report, I can forward it to you. It zoomed in on the review of the national strategy. It needed to be reviewed like yesterday. The establishment of a dedicated MST office. They founded the 9 provinces, like I'm saying, 9 countries in one country. There's nobody coordinating what happens in Gauteng with the Saipono, Western Cape with their science centers, in KZN, whatever, in Limpopo with the Mastec, and in other provinces, you don't know what is going on. When they got there, Professor Breckle and his team and some of the people, they were talking to, they didn't even know there was a national strategy that they were supposed to be implementing. So clearly the center was not holding, and that was a key recommendation, that we needed to have somebody coordinating the work. And then a focused teacher development support program, we still don't have that, and which is a serious worry. And the norms and standards for resources, because the Mmatladi project went, sky high, just buying and buying. We need to say as a nation, what is it that must be bought, and what does each school have to look like in terms of infrastructure. If you are saying we have a school or a curriculum that requires learners to be doing ABC, then and they don't have those resources, what do we mean? And the Mmatladi program clearly needed to, like I said. Then we started revising, and this is a summary of everything. If you look at it on the outer part is the National Development Plan, because that drives everything now, and it talks, it asks us to be able to prioritize on those activities that are important for us to be able to get the results we want. And the NDP goals, all of them for the different phases. And we're driven also by the ministerial tastic challenges, especially on teacher development and resources and all that. And the capacitation of district officials, which is very key. And then moving into the strategy itself, that is the vision and the mission and all the other areas. And at the center of all of that is the classroom, because all of this has to make an impact in the classroom. And if there's no impact in the classroom, then what are we busy doing? And then that is I tend to move very fast. Okay. The priority is we're talking issues of unemployment, looking at back at the history that we've had, and focusing, making sure that we address all those things, and accountability being one of the good things. And then focusing on what drives this, the MST ministerial recommendations that were given by the ministerial task team, and the NDP goals, and the other policies that drive education in this country. And then that is the vision. We're trying, people these days are talking about the fourth industrial revolution. And from where I'm standing, it's, there are, like I'm saying, we've got 9 countries in one country. Some provinces will be busy with fourth industrial revolution stuff, whilst the others are still way behind trying to catch up. And we've got four mission activities, key activities. The first one focusing on curriculum. Do we have a relevant curriculum? And then teacher development and teacher support, how we use our teachers and all of that. And then resources, and then partnerships. And then we've put into the strategy the preconditions as to, if we are really serious about doing this thing for MST in our whole country, we have to make sure that all the other things are well taken care of. And these are the preconditions that we've put in the strategy. And they keep on adding. The last time we presented to CM, they're talking now food security and agriculture focus. So it gets very intense and political. And also that's to us going that the focus that needs to go into all of that, and even issues of like AKS go into that. As much as engineering is not a school subject, but we're talking also of skills development, and what Prof. Bradley was talking about in terms of developing skills, but having the correct curriculum for that has to be addressed. But at the center is classroom, making sure that all those things are done, and the one at the bottom with regards to and the social justice and all that, not forgetting where we come from. And then strategic aim 1 is just a summary on one page. It's got the 2 goals and they've got 5 outputs, and we're focusing and all that, because I think strategic aim 1 is like the core of the whole curriculum, where we're talking about the MST curriculum, that it must respond to the needs of the country, and then all of that. So we need to address the status of the MST subjects. Not all of them have got the same status, but I'm glad we've learned that the Department of Higher Education and Training, there was a list that was used by universities, the designated list, that all the subjects that are on the technical subject list are not designated for university study. So there's some movement in there. So all those things are in here. And we're still talking about increasing participation and the quality of the passes. And strategic aim 2, like I said, focuses on teachers, improving the management of our teachers. What we found when I was working with Ingrid there in Gauteng in the GPLMS project, what we found was very key with the schools. There were 1,000 schools that were underperforming according to the ANA. And when we went into those schools, most of the challenges that were in the school were managerial, and it had nothing to do with the teachers. And once all of that was fixed, then we assisted the school to have a proper timetable and to use the people, the teachers properly, the teachers that are qualified to teach to put them in areas where they can be able to perform, and to make sure that the load of the subjects that they teach is congruent, is in line, or if the teacher teaches mathematics, they are not overloaded with a language subject or something like that. And those are the things that happen in schools. Or you train teachers, like Prof was saying, we spend a lot of time in service training teachers, and then the next year Yancy is not teaching grade 4 anymore, she's teaching life orientation or something else. So they move teachers around unnecessarily and all that. So we need to come up with a better plan of how we're going to be managing our teachers and the development thereof. And we still need a proper teacher development program for math, science, and technology in the country, and agree, all of us. And then strategic aim 3 is on resources, 2 goals and 2 outputs. Because the resources are there in the schools, but they're not being used. So we have to come up with a better plan. And then with regards to partnerships, how do we make use of partnerships to make sure that we leverage with the little skills that we have in our teachers and the resources that we have, to make sure that we maximize the outputs and make sure that we get on the path where we're supposed to go.